my husband of 12 years, a man with an income in the tens of millions, fell in love with the new receptionist at his company. She was nearly 40, not as pretty as me, not in as good of shape, but in just 6 months, she had provided him with immense emotional value. Ethan said to me, his voice weary, "If we divorce, you can have the house and the cars. Sophia, can you just let me go?" I lowered my gaze and said calmly, "Okay." Then I bought a calendar and circled a date. Divorce countdown. 30 days. When I pushed the divorce agreement in front of Ethan, it had only been 40 minutes since he had confessed his affair and asked for a divorce. As requested, the house, the cars, and our child were all mine. He would pay me a lump sum of $20 million in compensation and child support. After that, the child and I would not bother him again. Ethan was on a conference call at the time. He glanced down at the words divorce agreement, his expression flickering almost imperceptibly. Then he nodded, indicating he understood. I left the room. To save us both time, I packed all of his clothes and belongings, 3 full suitcases, fearing I had missed something. I even included his childhood photos from the attic. Finally, I saw our wedding photo in the corner. In the picture, Ethan was handsome, and I was smiling sweetly, our arms wrapped around each other in the sunlight. That was when he would hold me and whisper, "Honey, I love you so much. I'm so lucky to have married you." Ethan and I met in college. When he met me, he was a poor student in worn-out canvas shoes. Many guys were pursuing me then, but I fell for him at first sight. He was calm, kind, and handsome. He had countless qualities I admired. After graduation, we got married, and he started a company with a friend. I became a full-time housewife after I got pregnant. I dedicated myself to taking care of him, our family, and our child. As his business grew, so did his social obligations. Amidst my busy and mundane life, I made time to work out, learn about makeup and fashion. And Ethan, no matter how busy, would always help with our child and cook when he came home. He even helped me manage my relationship with his mother. To the outside world, we were the model couple. I don't know when it started, but he began having meetings at night. Sometimes he would be so busy he wouldn't come home at all. My friends would joke, telling me to keep a close eye on him. I would brush it off, but I was worried. I brought him late-night snacks a few times. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. A group of people in a meeting, and that woman was just waiting at the front desk. Her name was Jane. She was in her 40s, not tall, on the thinner side, with short hair. She looked plain, but her voice was surprisingly gentle. She would smile and greet me. Over the years, I had thought about this day. I had imagined it might be a beautiful secretary, or a vibrant college student, or even a sharp and decisive female business partner. But I had never considered the receptionist. I heard she had been married before, that her husband had cheated on her. This was her first job after the divorce, and she cherished it. She would come to the office early, take note of everyone's habits, and occasionally bake pastries. Some colleagues even ordered lunch from her for convenience. When I found out, I even told Ethan that she was having a hard time and he should look out for her. He was always indifferent. The company is not a place for charity. I've already told them not to engage in transactions outside of work. At the time, I had teased him for being a heartless boss. Looking back now, he was probably just worried about her having to cook for her colleagues after a long day at work. As for why he chose today to ask for a divorce, it was just that this morning, I had made him his usual hangover soup. He looked at the soup, sighed, pushed it away slightly, and was silent for a long time. Then he looked up at me, his eyes tired, and asked if we could get a divorce. He confessed that the affair had been going on for 6 months, that he would sneak away to a hotel room every time he worked late. My heart pounded in my chest. I tried to stay calm. I asked who it was. When he said Jane, I thought I had misheard. A feeling of helplessness washed over me, cold and desolate. When Ethan finished his meeting, I had already eaten, cleaned the kitchen, and was watching a drama in the living room. As if nothing had happened, he went to take a shower. In the middle of it, he realized he didn't have a towel and called out instinctively, "Honey, where's my bath towel?" I didn't turn around. "I've already packed it. You can use mine if you don't mind. I'll throw it away later." A long silence was my only reply. When he came out, He saw the 3 suitcases in the entryway. He sat down opposite me and pushed the divorce agreement over. I can give you $15 million in child support now, and the rest in monthly install. I cut him off. No need. A one-time payment is fine. I don't think she would want you to have any more contact with me. A look of confusion crossed his face. The child is not just yours. I have a right to be a part of his life. I know this is my fault, and am willing to compensate you. But you don't have to use our child to threaten me. I paused the drama and looked at him seriously. The affair is your fault. It is only right that you provide compensation and child support. Compared to your assets, the house and cars are not much. I have raised our son since he was born. He is a highly sensitive and needy child. How much energy will you have for him in the midst of your new romance? Being a part of his life is not just about money. It's about time and companionship. He was speechless. After a long moment, he said, "In any case, I will not pay $20 million to sever my relationship with my son." I opened the agreement. The $20 million is for compensation and child support. If you have other emotional needs, you can transfer money to our son directly. I will open a separate account for him. He suddenly laughed. Sophia, I never knew you were so materialistic. All you talk about is money. What else? Does loving you do me any good? He was silenced again. His face hardened, and he took out a pen, signing the agreement with a flourish. He also suggested we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to apply for a divorce. Then he called his driver. I finished my drama and went to bed. When I woke up, he was gone. My son ran out of his room and hugged me, excitedly telling me about a happy dream he had. As I listened, I gently told him that his father's company was very busy and he might be away on a business trip for a long time. My son, unusually, did not ask to call him and ask, "Daddy, when are you coming back?" He just said, "Oh," and pursed his lips. "It's okay. I have mommy with me." I couldn't hold back my tears. I rushed to the bathroom to compose myself, agreeing to the divorce. Besides the sadness, my biggest guilt was towards my son, for not being able to give him a complete family. But I knew this was not my fault. After dropping my son off at school, Ethan and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. A 30-day cooling-off period. Then we could get the divorce certificate. Back in the car, I circled a date on my calendar. Divorce countdown. 30 days. I debated whether to tell my parents right away. I had grown up in this city. All my relatives and friends were here. My parents were retired teachers, and I was their only daughter. They were very open-minded. But my father's health had not been good these past few years. I had planned to wait. Ethan called a couple of days later. He rarely called me. He usually sent texts because I would always reply immediately, which he found convenient. I had deleted his WeChat last night. I answered. His voice was normal. "Sophia, your mother just called me. She's cooked a lot of food and wants us to come over for dinner." I was thinking, since your father's health isn't good, we could wait to tell them about the divorce. What time should we go over? And next Sunday is your father's birthday. I should probably go with you. I had been hesitant, but his words made up my mind. I would tell my parents. I replied, "No need, Ethan. You don't have to be stubborn. Your father's health is important." I said calmly, "If you really cared, you wouldn't have had an affair and asked for a divorce at this time. My father may not be in good health, but he is of sound mind. I don't think he would want me to stay in a loveless, unfaithful marriage." Ethan, yes. Don't call me again. If you want to see our son, follow the agreement. Once a week. At this, his conciliatory tone vanished. "Sophia, let me say this again. Oliver is my son too. My family. But you gave up his family, didn't you?" I heard him slam the phone down. I quickly hung up and tried to pull myself together. I drove to the mall. The bedding, the sofa, all the furniture he liked. I was going to replace it all. And I wanted it all delivered today. After everything was replaced, I cleaned the house and then went to my mother's. She saw me but not Ethan, and assumed he was busy. I was silent for a moment, then nervously called out, "Mom." She immediately knew something was wrong. She stopped what she was doing, just looked at me, and then gently pulled me into her arms. I didn't say a word, but a mother's intuition told her everything. I told her as calmly as I could. She handed me a tissue. Her voice was soft. "It's okay. Divorce is common these days. He was unfaithful. It's better to know now. It's just a divorce. Sophia, I only have one request for you. Her eyes welled up as she spoke, and she took my hand. Since you have decided to divorce, you must never, ever get back together with him. I nodded through my tears. Okay. After dinner, my parents talked in their room for a long time. When my father came out, he handed me a large red envelope. He said today was a new beginning and worth celebrating. I hope my baby girl will always be happy. I cried in my car for a long time after leaving their house. Before I went, I was so afraid of disappointing them. They had never even had a major argument in their entire lives. When I married Ethan, when no one else approved, they had respected my decision. Now that he was successful and everyone envied me, saying my parents had good judgment, they were supporting my divorce. I wiped my tears and looked at the calendar. Divorce countdown. 28 days. When I picked up my son from school, he said his grandfather had called and missed him. He asked if he could stay at his grandparents for a week. He asked me to take him there. I was a little surprised, but I took him home to pack a small suitcase. He was so excited, saying his grandfather had promised to fly a drone with him. After dropping him off, my mother walked me to the car. Sophia, cheer up. Go out and have some fun. As I got in, she stood there, watching me. For a long time, I looked in the rearview mirror. I looked pale and dejected. I took out my makeup and touched up my face, applying a bright red lipstick. I went home, packed a bag, and went on a week-long trip. I saw many people and places, and heard many stories. I came back feeling refreshed. I looked at the calendar. Divorce countdown. 21 days. I came back just in time for my father's birthday. They were holding it at a hotel this year, inviting relatives and close friends. The hotel was not far from home. There were 5 tables in total, all familiar faces. Many people asked about Ethan. Fortunately, my son had a class and wasn't there. My parents didn't give a direct answer. Just before the meal, my father went on stage to speak. Ethan arrived at that moment. He was in a suit, carrying several gift bags and a large red envelope. Relatives greeted him warmly. He waited for my father to come down and handed him the envelope. Dad, happy birthday. My father glanced at it. Mr. Song, you're too kind, but we can't accept this. After all, you and Sophia are already divorced. We wouldn't want to impose. Ethan's face froze. A hush fell over the room. His voice was quiet. It's just an agreement. My father shook his head. It's the same thing. He turned and invited everyone to eat. Ethan just stood there, his hands clutching the gift bags. My mother politely returned his other gifts. He didn't stay. Seeing him leave, everyone tactfully avoided mentioning him. No one would ask me about him again. It was good. My mood was gradually improving. I was accepting it. I was shedding the title of Mrs. Song. I was becoming Sophia again, the property manager and the housekeeper. I don't know where they heard the news, but they stopped calling me Mrs. Song and started calling me Miss Shin. I also wanted to keep myself busy. I decided to open a coffee shop. A shop was for sale, and I liked the location and the decor, so I signed the lease. The staff was already there, so we could continue to operate, but I wanted to take some time to adjust the menu and the taste, and to change the sign and the furniture. It would be a soft opening for now. I spent a day at the shop planning and was about to go home. I glanced at the calendar in my car. Divorce countdown. 15 days. As I got downstairs, a young woman from Ethan's company, a Miss Chung, called me. She was cheerful and outgoing, very likable. She asked if I was busy. When I said I wasn't, she started complaining, asking if I was divorcing Ethan. I didn't hide it. She asked if it was because of Jane. I didn't know why she would say that. I thought maybe Ethan had gone public. Seeing my silence, she groaned. Miss Shin, I knew it was because of that woman. No wonder you haven't been bringing us afternoon tea lately. I miss you so much. When Ethan and I were together, I would bring them afternoon tea almost every week to thank them. My colleagues would often joke that they wanted to work there forever, just to eat Mrs. Song's afternoon tea. It's okay. I'm opening a coffee shop. You can come, and I'll treat you. She wowed and asked for the address. I said I'd send it to her later. She said okay and continued to complain. You have no idea about that, Jane. After you stopped coming, she went from being the receptionist to the head of the general affairs department. And her attitude has completely changed. She used to smile at everyone. Now she's always looking for trouble. And she can't hide her smugness. She even bought a dress and heels similar to yours. Anyone can see it. What is Mr. Song thinking? Finally, she said that if it weren't for her mortgage, she would have quit. I had reached my door, hearing her still talking. I comforted her for a bit before she reluctantly hung up. At this point, I didn't want to know anything about Jane. Unlike when Ethan first told me, when I was desperate to know what was so special about her. I pushed open the door and was surprised to see Ethan's shoes. He was playing a game with our son. Seeing me, my son shouted excitedly, "Mommy, come and play with us. We can beat Daddy together." In the past, Ethan would have lifted him up, laughing, and then chased me. The whole house would have been filled with laughter. Now, he just coughed and ruffled our son's hair. "Mommy has been out all day. She's tired. Maybe next time." "Okay, Daddy. When will you be back from your business trip?" Ethan thought for a moment and said softly, "Soon," then urged our son to go to bed. After a long day at the coffee shop, I had no energy for small talk. I just told him to close the door on his way out. He said he had promised our son he would sleep with him tonight. I didn't say anything more. I had just closed my bedroom door when I heard his phone ring in the living room. He answered, and I could hear him repeating something. Then his voice dropped, a hint of impatience in it. "I told you. I'm just here to see Oliver. What are you afraid of? We've already signed the divorce agreement. How many times do I have to say it? We are not sleeping in the same room." Then I heard him hang up. He came and knocked on my door. "Sophia, something came up at work. I have to go back. I'll come and see our son again tomorrow." I didn't open the door. I just said, "Okay." My voice was just loud enough for him to hear. He hadn't even left the building when I received a notification that $50,000 had been transferred to my son's bank account. The note said to take him out for a nice meal tomorrow. I didn't reply. I opened my laptop and looked at my coffee shop plans. But a message from a stranger popped up on WeChat. No words. Just a smiley face. Her profile picture was a bouquet of flowers. Her profile was blank. I didn't even remember adding this person. Looking at the chat history, it was from 2 years ago. I was still trying to remember when she sent a message. "Aren't you pleased with yourself?" Almost instantly, I knew it was Jane. But hadn't she only been at Ethan's company for 6 months? Why did she have my WeChat from 2 years ago? Had this account been secretly watching my life for the past 2 years? I gasped. I sent a question mark. She typed quickly, "No matter what tricks you use to keep him, I can make him come to me immediately." It was her. Jane. Did this mean Ethan had known her for 2 years? Or even longer? She sent a photo. I opened it. It was of Ethan, shirtless, asleep in a hotel bed. A woman's hand rested on his chest. In the bottom right corner, a red date, 2023.2/16. I stared at the photo. A wave of nausea washing over me. I threw up violently into the trash can. February 16th, 2023. That was the day of my father's first surgery. Ethan had been so busy that whole month. He had been on a business trip, but he had pushed back several meetings to come back and be with me. He had been so gentle and reassuring on our video calls, telling me not to worry. I had been too nervous to sleep, and he had stayed on a video call with me all night. He had managed to get back on the morning of the 16th to be with me at the hospital, and it turned out that in the midst of his busy schedule, he had found time to sleep with her. How could he come back and face me with a clear conscience? Seeing no reply from me, she became even more smug. She sent several more photos, all with dates. Our wedding anniversary. Our son's birthday. Every time. He had been with her first, then rushed back to be with us. A huge wave of disgust washed over me, drowning out the pain. Yes, I had thought that he had just grown tired of us over the past 6 months. Tired of our quiet, happy life. Or that he had found his true love in middle age. But it turned out, it had been rotten for a long time. I went to the bathroom and splashed water on my face. Back at my computer, I saved all the evidence. I knew she had sent them because the $20 million from the divorce agreement hadn't been fully paid yet. Ethan had given me $8 million over the past 2 weeks. The remaining $12 million, he said, might take some time. The house and cars were in my name, with no loans. The agreement was clear. As long as he agreed, there was no dispute. If I made a scene now and it affected his company, he would be furious. and I would lose more than I gained. My son would completely lose his father. When he had asked for a divorce, he had probably expected me to cry and make a scene, but my pride wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't go to his company and cause a scene. But Jane hadn't expected me to be so agreeable. I didn't make a scene. I didn't even confront him. This was beyond her expectations. She knew that whoever made a scene first would lose. But one thing was strange. If she had been able to stay by his side for so long, so well hidden, and even pretend to be an innocent, good person for 6 months at the company, why was she so impatient now? In just 2 weeks, Ethan and I would be completely separated. And yet, she was making a fuss over him coming home to see his son. I checked the time. It wasn't too late. I called Miss Ching. She was at a dinner with some colleagues, gossiping about Ethan and Jane. They had exchanged information and had some new gossip. 2 weeks ago, Ethan had gotten drunk at a business dinner and was taken home by the beautiful female CEO of a partner company. She had later asked him out a few times privately, and since I hadn't been bringing afternoon tea to the office, everyone was guessing that Ethan and I had had a fight. He was about to be single, and as soon as that rumor spread, some of the younger, ambitious women at the company started throwing themselves at him. That's when Jane couldn't sit still anymore. Miss Shin, you're so good. I really don't want to hide this from you. Please don't be sad. Mr. Song may be handsome, but he's a scumbag. You'll definitely find someone better. No. Wait. What am I saying? Who needs a man? Miss Shin, you're going to have a career breakthrough. Your coffee shop is going to be a huge success. And then you can think about men. Haha. My gloomy mood was lifted by her words. Thanks. I'll try. After hanging up, I saw it was past midnight. The reminder on my calendar was stark. Divorce countdown. 14 days. From what Miss Ching had said, I knew why Jane was so desperate to get into the general affairs department and why her attitude had changed. With the divorce pending, she was supposed to be the one to step up. But now, others had gotten the news and were swarming in. And they were all good catches. And they were all new and exciting. She was afraid she would lose him. She felt threatened. She needed to use her blatant power to ward off the other women. This probably wasn't the first time she had made a scene in the past 2 weeks. Her forcing him to leave tonight was probably because she had overplayed her hand. So she had sent me those photos to provoke me, to drag me into a confrontation with him. So he would see my crazy side and she could shift the blame onto me. Before she sent those disgusting things, I really hadn't wanted to deal with it. Since she was so determined to be disgusting, I would indulge her. I didn't block or unfriend her. The first thing I did was ask Ethan to dinner. He was surprised but agreed. I chose a restaurant near the university, the same one where he had celebrated my first birthday with me. It used to be a small stir-fry place. Now it had doubled in size and was doing well. His luxury car, parked outside, looked out of place in the old alley. This was the best he could afford for me back then. Over a decade ago, with the money he had saved from his part-time jobs, he had bought me a necklace and taken me here for dinner. I looked at the well-dressed man opposite me and the earnest young man from my memory. The two images overlapped and then faded. I didn't choose a private room, but a table by the window, where the sunlight was good. Neither of us spoke. After ordering, he expertly rinsed my bowl and chopsticks with hot water. During the meal, he kept saying the food tasted different. He even called the owner over, who confirmed that his father was still the head chef. He was a little surprised, but said no more. I had a bite of the spicy fried pork and said with a smile that he had changed. Ethan asked, "Have I?" "Of course. In all these years, you've seen and eaten so much. This little place no longer appeals to you. But I think it tastes the same as it did back then." He put down his chopsticks and looked at me, silent for a moment. "Sophia, I'm sorry." I gave a bitter smile. "People move on. I should learn from you," he said slowly, with a hint of a question. "You don't want to ask me anything. Would you tell me the truth if I did? Tell me you were sleeping with her on the day of my father's surgery." "Ethan, you wouldn't be able to say it." He was silent, then sighed and asked if I needed anything. I told him I needed money and asked if he could give me the remaining 12 million as soon as possible. "Sophia, even if you only came to me for money today, I'm still happy. All these years, I never realized I had moved on while you were still standing in the same place. I'll get you the money as soon as possible. If you need anything else, you can always contact me." After he left, I went to pay the bill. I sent a red envelope to the owner, thanking him for his help. He had told Ethan that his father was still the head chef, which was true. But the kitchen had more than one chef now. The spicy fried pork was not made by his father. The taste was similar, but not the same. It was normal for Ethan to notice the difference. I just wanted him to feel a sense of superiority, to feel that he had changed. While I was still stuck in the past, reminiscing about our time together, showing weakness would make it easier to negotiate. After leaving, I went to a private investigation agency. I had contacted them last night. This afternoon, they had the information. Fast. He handed me a file. It was on Jane, age 41, married, with a 12-year-old child. Her husband worked in a factory in the next city. For the past 2 years, she had been in close contact with her brother. Her brother also knew about Ethan. Honestly, I was shocked. I knew her age, but she had told everyone at the company that she was divorced. And she had a child. And she wasn't even divorced. I asked the investigator if the information was reliable. He gave me a thumb up. You can count on me. If you give the word, I can mail this out immediately. No need. I didn't get this information to tell Ethan. On the contrary, I hoped Jane would keep her husband hidden for a while longer, at least until after my divorce was finalized. I had underestimated her. I thought she was just a homewrecker trying to climb the social ladder. It turned out to be a pig butchering scam. She had spent 2 years on Ethan. With success so close, she wouldn't let anyone else get in her way. I circled a date on my calendar. Divorce countdown. 13 days. The 12 million arrived while I was busy with the coffee shop's soft opening. I had made a few changes to the interior and offered some discounts. It was going well so far. My friend, after hearing about the money, asked if a one-time payment would be a loss. I said that business is not always smooth sailing. There will always be unexpected situations. Ups and downs are normal, and it's hard to say how long it will last. A one-time payment was less hassle. Most importantly, I didn't want to have to contact him every month. My friend agreed that money in hand is what's real. Miss Chen came for coffee on her day off. She said that Ethan had just landed a big deal and was busy with negotiations. Jane was now carrying a designer bag to work and was much more subdued. It was obvious he had bought her off with a bag. Jane's patience was a means to an end. This was the karma Ethan had sown. Perhaps he would soon reap the consequences. Like that day at the restaurant, when he and I were having lunch. I saw Jane standing around the corner. She had sent me a much more explicit photo that night, arrogantly revealing half her face. I had already packed it all up, ready to send to her husband the moment I got my divorce certificate. I had just organized the files when the doorbell rang. I got up to answer it. Jane had dyed and permed her hair and was wearing the same shade of lipstick as me. When I opened the door, she looked like a different person, her eyes full of provocation. Miss Shin, I'm sorry to bother you. Mr. Song's household registration booklet fell here. I've come to get it for him. She tried to push past me. I blocked her. When Ethan and I signed the divorce agreement, he took the booklet with him. Is that so? Perhaps he misremembered. Actually, I just wanted to see you. He may not know, but I do. You're just playing hard to get to keep him hooked. I asked, am I? So you think that by stalking my social media for 2 years, you know me? She covered her mouth and giggled, pushing my hand away and looking around the room. Sophia, I really thought you didn't care. But as soon as he left, you changed everything. What? Are you afraid of getting hurt? As she spoke, our son woke up and called out, Mommy. He asked if his father was here. Jane laughed softly. Oliver. Auntie Jane. Your father is in a meeting. He's not coming home today. And maybe not tomorrow either. I clenched my fists and ignored her. I went to comfort my son. He was lying there, disappointed and a little hurt. I promised to take him to the amusement park tomorrow and told him to go back to sleep. When I came out, Jane was still in the living room, leisurely drinking red wine. I knew what she was here for. In a few days, it would be Ethan's father's birthday. In previous years, we had always gone together. Ethan had called and asked if I could go with him one last time this year. But Jane didn't want me to. His hometown was remote. His parents had moved to the county seat a few years ago. But it was still a long way. Going there would bring back too many memories. She was afraid things would get complicated. She was here to provoke me, to give herself an excuse to go and complain to him. Perfect. I had just received the 20 million and was looking for a reason to refuse him. I walked over slowly, looked down at her, and then slapped her hard across the face. She turned her head, a smirk on her face. Not so tough now, are you? All that indifference was just an act, wasn't it? How does it feel? Someone like you, so high and mighty, to have your man stolen by me. I snatched the glass from her hand. I grabbed her hair with one hand and covered her mouth with the other, dragging her to the door. She struggled, but I threw her out. Jane, you got what you wanted. You can go and cry to Ethan now. If that's not enough, I can give you a couple more slaps. To even things out, she pointed a finger at me and screamed, calling me a shrew, just as she was about to charge at me. I took out my phone to record. She gave me a venomous look, picked up her bag, and started a tearful call to Ethan. I looked at the date. I was calmly looking forward to the end of this farce. Divorce countdown. 10 days. Ethan's call came quickly. I could hear the suppressed annoyance in his voice. He asked why I had hit her, even if she was in the wrong. I could have just thrown her out. Now it had become a scene. If she refused to settle privately, calling the police would complicate things. I laughed, then let her call them. She trespassed. And she's a homewrecker. As a mistress. Did she not expect to get hit when she came to provoke me? She also verbally abused our son, implying you would never have time for him. Ethan, our son is my bottom line. I hope he's yours too. Without waiting for his reply, I hung up. I sent him a message, refusing to accompany him to his hometown. A weight was lifted off my shoulders. The private investigator called. He said Jane had just called her husband and would give him a sum of money to get a divorce. They had an appointment to file the paperwork next week. She was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Eventually, she would run out of money. She was probably pressuring Ethan to marry her. The investigator sighed. This Jane is a strange one. You say she's impatient, but she was able to hang around Ethan for 2 years. You say she's patient, but at this crucial moment, she has to cause trouble. He continued his analysis. Maybe before, she didn't feel threatened. Their relationship was underground, which was exciting. Now that she's about to become the official one, and so many other, better women are after him, she's worried she'll lose him. That's why she's being so high-profile. I took a sip of coffee. Maybe, from that day on, her private account stopped sending me messages. Miss Ching came to the shop for coffee. She told me Jane had gone with Ethan to his father's birthday. As his secretary, she had been much more low-key since her return. It seemed Ethan had finally made her a promise. Miss Ching asked what I thought. It's good, she ahed. Miss Ching, do you really think so? The mistress is winning. I nodded. The scumbag had found his just deserts among the teeming masses. Wasn't that a good thing? Today, the coffee shop, after renovations and menu adjustments, officially opened. I posted a picture on my social media, and I circled a date on my calendar. Divorce countdown. 5 days. For the first 3 days of the opening, I was so busy I barely looked at my phone. When I was catching up on messages, I saw a congratulatory text from Ethan. I deleted it and then set a time to get the divorce certificate. After a long time, he replied, "Do we need to talk? Let's talk after we get the certificate." After a moment, he replied, "Okay." I continued. 10 a.m. Okay. The night outside was the same, as if nothing had changed. But the decor in my house was all new. It was anticipation, and a new beginning. I put all the photos Jane had sent me into a file. Divorce countdown. 2 days. On the day we were supposed to get the certificate, I waited at the entrance for half an hour. Ethan arrived in a hurry. A brief greeting. We went through the formalities. Got the certificate. Holding the divorce certificate, he looked a little lost, but quickly recovered. He asked me to lunch. I have something to do. I didn't look at him again. As soon as I left, I mailed all the photos to Jane's husband. A month later, Miss Ching came. She said that just 2 days after our divorce, she had posted her divorce certificate on social media with the caption, "It feels like a dream." 2 months later, she came to see me with a pile of snacks. She said she had been about to quit her job and was planning to comfort herself with a binge-eating session. But now she didn't have to. She wanted me to eat and be happy. I served her coffee. I asked her what was so great. She said she was finally free from Jane's tyranny. and she was laughing so hard she was in tears. Miss Shin, you have no idea. Last week, Jane subtly announced she was getting married to Mr. Song. I had already written my resignation letter, but this morning, a man stormed into the office, grabbed her, and started hitting her, calling her a cheater. He was also shouting for Ethan, calling him a homewrecker. At first, some colleagues tried to stop him, but the man threw out a bunch of photos. TSK, TSK. They were so disgusting. After that, everyone just pretended to try to break it up. Ethan was in his office, but didn't come out. The secretary later said the man had faked the photos and had him thrown out. I saw someone follow him out. They were probably going to negotiate. From this, it was clear that Ethan would not be marrying Jane. He hated being lied to. And now there was a mistress scandal. Although he had suppressed the news, his competitors had found out. They used it to mock him. His image was ruined. He had even been the face of his company's products. All the ads were taken down. To prevent the story from spreading, he had paid off Jane's husband to apologize and admit he had faked the photos. Jane also quit the company. I heard from Miss Chung that she also got a divorce. Her ex-husband got a large sum of money. Ethan came to see our son a few times. He looked tired. Sometimes he would want to stay for dinner, but I would refuse. He would hesitate at the door. Sophia, is there any chance for us to start over? I looked at him and slammed the door. Every time my friend called, she would try to set me up with someone. I declined a few times. Right now, making money was more reliable and comforting. Oh, Sophia, you can't lose hope in love. It's not that I've lost hope. I'm not against it, but I'm not desperate for it. Not long after, she brought a very charismatic man to my shop. He was gentle and polite. We had a brief introduction. We were both too busy to talk much. My friend was frantic. Sophia, you're not even interested in a catch like him. I smiled. I'm busy. She sighed in frustration. I was calculating the cost of opening a new branch. 6 months later, I saw that he had posted a picture of his marriage certificate. I silently liked it. Sure enough. After that, his company started ordering coffee from my shop regularly. The reason was that his wife liked the taste. I was happy about the big client. Meanwhile, Ethan was in big trouble. I heard that a distraught Jane had gone to his office. At first, she had calmly asked him what he wanted for lunch. But then she had suddenly pulled a knife from her bag in front of an investor. She asked him when he was going to marry her. Then she had gone on a rampage, destroying the furniture and scaring the investor away. Miss Ching's description of the scene was epic. Ethan's face had turned green. He had ended up calling the police and having her arrested. After a couple of quiet days, her brother came with a group of thugs, demanding an explanation. I heard from Miss Chung that he had temporarily paid them off, but she guessed that with a hooligan like her brother, who had gotten a taste of easy money. This was far from over. A few days later, many people quit, mainly because they were afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. Miss Ching was also leaving. She said that after the incident, several companies had offered good salaries to the heartbroken employees of Ethan's company. She smiled, saying her new salary was quite good. Miss Shin, it's true what they say. A man who mistreats his wife will lose his fortune. I remembered the first year Ethan and I were married. He had bought a figurine that said, "A man who listens to his wife will prosper." He kept it in his office every day. Then one day, it was broken, and he never replaced it. And now, I could barely remember his face. Miss Ching looked at me, a little hesitant, then asked, "Miss Shin, are you really not curious about how he and Jane got together?" I answered honestly, I was. But even if it wasn't Jane, it would have been someone else. No matter the circumstances, it was just an excuse for him to cheat. After Miss Ching left, just before closing, Ethan came. His white shirt was wrinkled, and he smelled of alcohol. He looked terrible, his voice hoarse. "Sophia, can I have a glass of water?" I had someone get him one. Soon after, the shop closed. He followed me to my car. As I got in, he said he missed our son. He asked if he could get a ride home with me to see him. "I'm sorry. He's at my mother's today. He won't be back for a while. You can see him according to the agreement." He looked pale. He coughed a few times and then called out to me, "Sophia, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not a man. I'm sorry to you. And I'm sorry to our son. Can you forgive me? If we can start over, I'll put all my assets in your name. I shook my head at him. He came forward, grabbing the car door, his breathing heavy. I can swear. I can promise. If there's a next time, I'll leave with nothing. I was really drunk that time, and I was just emotional. I felt like my life was too dull. I never thought you would agree to a divorce. I thought you would yell at me, curse me. I was a fool, not appreciating what I had. But I really do love you, Sophia. You have to believe. I cut him off. Ethan, I have a lot to do. I don't have time for this. Whether you're here to appease your investors or because you genuinely have some regrets, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you, to me, are forever in the past. His lips were pressed so tight they were white. He was about to speak again. I cut him off impatiently. Ethan, let's just leave it at that. Anything more would be rude. He suddenly pulled out his phone and showed me a private social media account. Sophia, I know you won't forgive me, but I swear to you, the first time with Jane was an accident. This is my private account. It has a record of our lives together for all these years. And then the affair. It's all there. He kept talking, scrolling through the feed. I could see many photos he had secretly taken of me from behind, and many professions of his love, until he became increasingly busy with work, worried about the company's future. I turned away, not looking at him, and prepared to drive. He quickly threw his phone into the car. When I got home, I tossed his phone aside and went to wash up. When I came out, his phone was still on. He must have disabled the auto lock. I stared at the screen, then reached out and turned it off, throwing it in the trash. I sat down at my computer and started planning the location for a new coffee shop branch. As for Ethan and me, I just hope that in the future, we will not see each other, not think of each other, and not waste any more time on him.